Hello there. You know, here in the United Kingdom, there's a striking paradox, and it dominates the labour market. Millions of jobs remain unfilled, and yet millions of people are unemployed or economically inactive. Now recently, the UK employment rate stands at around 4.7%, and that's roughly 1.67 million people unemployed. But there's 9 million adults economically inactive. Meanwhile, industries such as healthcare, construction, technology and hospitality report persistent labour shortages. This mismatch is not due to a laziness or a lack of willingness to work. This is a result of systematic failures in government policy and corporate practices, which often prioritise short-term profit over investment in people. Now, across the UK, many adults face barriers that prevent them from taking available jobs. Some parents who can't afford childcare, others are graduates seeking work in technology, healthcare or construction but lack the necessary skills or training. Older workers are often capable of part-time employment but face which is illegal, age discrimination, unlimited flexible work options. These are structural obstacles, financial, educational or practical, that prevent people from accessing work, even when jobs exist. While the government, of course, funds apprenticeships and retraining programs, the initiatives are often underfunded or they're misaligned with labour market needs. The example of the apprenticeship levy, designed to encourage employers to train staff, leave billions unspent. Adult retraining schemes remain limited, particularly for mid-career or older workers. And this fails to address practical barriers such as childcare or transport. Short-term reliance on immigration to fill vacancies is prioritised over long-term investment in domestic talent. Employers often hire migrant workers willing to accept lower wages and longer hours, rather than investing in domestic workers who may require training, flexible hours or higher pay. Industries like hospitality, care, retail or agriculture frequently offer low-paid temporary roles with minimum progression, leaving domestic workers excluded. This approach fills vacancies quicker, but it perpetuates long-term skill gaps. And then we have the politicians as such. You know, people are lazy, unwilling to work. But the reality is many are eager to work but face structural barriers like childcare costs, disabilities or lack of skills. Willingness alone cannot overcome these obstacles. Benefits discourage work. Well, low-paid jobs often barely exceed welfare payments when housing, transport and childcare costs are factored in. Returning to work can worsen financial situations, making the issue economic, not moral. Then we've got, of course, migrants take jobs from UK residents. Well, Again, the reality, most vacancies filled by migrants are in sectors where domestic workers lack skills, flexibility or geographic mobility. Immigration fills a gap rather than displacing UK citizens. Now, some argue, and I've heard this argument myself, is that raising wages would increase inflation or put small businesses out of business. Well, there is a risk of price adjustments. Evidence shows that fair wages increase productivity, reduce turnover and create economic stability. In sectors like social care and hospitality, high staff turnover is expensive. Whereas if you pay a living wage, it reduces recruitment and training costs. And small businesses could be supported with things such as tax credits, wage subsidies or phased increases, ensuring that they remain viable while paying staff fairly. Increased wages also boost consumer spending, which helps local businesses thrive and offsets some costs. The argument that higher wages should automatically harm small businesses oversimplifies the issue. Properly structured policies can raise wages without causing closures or runaway inflation, while making work financially sustainable for domestic workers. We could resolve this, and the combination of policy and employer interventions is needed. We should invest in skills and training, expand accessible vocational programs and apprenticeships in healthcare, construction, technology, provides short-term boot camps for skills shortages with paid placements. We could support caregivers and parents, subsidise childcare for low-wage roles, offer flexible part-time hours in sectors like retail, care and hospitality. We could tap into the older and disabled workers, introduce age-friendly and accessible training programs, for example, expand remote and flexible work opportunities. We could offer fair wages and progression paths by raising wages in low-paid and high-demand sectors, offer career ladders to ensure long-term development. Employer incentives could be used to procurement rules for tax incentives to encourage businesses to invest in domestic training rather than solely relying on migrant labour. Millions of capable workers remain unemployed or underemployed due to structural barriers such as low pay, lack of training opportunities. Meanwhile, essential sectors struggle to maintain staffing levels. And equality. The failure to invest in people is not only economic, it's a social issue as well, perpetuating inequality and wasting human potential. The UK's Labour paradox, if you like, stimulus simultaneously allows job shortages and high unemployment. It's not a result of Labour people being lazy or individual choice. It's caused by inadequate investment in skills, poor wages, inflexible work conditions, and reliance on short-term fixes. By investing in training, fair wages, childcare support and flexible employment policies, the UK could fill its existing vacancies and it could reduce dependence on migrant labour and create a more resilient, equitable workforce. Properly structured wage increases and training programmes could strengthen both the economy and society, and it could be showing us that sustainable solutions are possible without any harming to small businesses or indeed uncontrolled inflation. Would it happen though? In the meantime, take care. Bye.